Hello and welcome to our second week here in adult development, the psychology of adulthood. And in chapter 2, what we are exploring are conceptual models, or essentially theories, the kind of reigning theories regarding adult development. And to kind of place that in context, you have to understand that over the years, of the development of ideas about how we change over time, certain theories, certain ideas that were, the perspectives of great thinkers had percolated to the top, and they remain in their position because they were elegantly put together, lots of research to support their premises, lots of utility in terms of using those theories to understand human behavior, and in this case, adult development. Been around for a long time, so they've been talked about and researched and looked at and whatnot. It doesn't mean that they're 100% right on. It means they've been useful models for understanding human development. That dialogue, it's interesting that I'm posting this video a little late, and I apologize for that. But it has allowed me to look at some of the preliminary postings and the discussions, and you're arriving very early in the class exactly where I would like you to be, which is to look at these theories as imperfect, but nonetheless useful tools for understanding human development. There are circumstances in which one theory is a better explanation for what's going on, and in other circumstances, you would be utilizing another theory. And depending on what you want to do in terms of that, you know, describe, explain, predict, and control goal set for all of psychology, it's a desire to describe, explain, predict, and control human and animal behavior. If those are our goals, different theories have different utility at different times, in different circumstances, in different people, in different researchers who have perspectives themselves. And you get this diversity of explanations. When I got into the field of psychology, actually, not when I got in the field, the first time I took psychology as a class in an undergraduate, that issue with how psychology was constructed of theories drove me nuts. I didn't like it. I wanted, A plus B equals C. I wanted clarity on that. I eventually learned to appreciate that diversity of perspective, the diversity of explanations, is actually an honorific to the complexity of the human experience, the complexity of the brain, the wonderful aspect of our diversity, the variety of different perspectives throughout the history of psychology is extremely rich in terms of ideas and notions and whatnot, all of which have some utility at a given point. So the discussion is to have you look at, when we're in chapter 2, is look at the theories that you've encountered. This is not your first rodeo. You're looking at different theories and which ones have resonated with you. And as studiers of people who study psychology like yourselves, you'll come across things and you're like, nope, that's BS. I don't think that that's true. And then you'll come across other things and you'll go, that rings so many bells for me that it just seems valid, has face validity in terms of how I've experienced life. And sometimes, in fact, I think the net benefit of studying psychology is a development of a deeper understanding of yourself, of others, of the world, and your place in the world in relation to others. That's a nice little summary of what we get out of this. And which ones ring true for you? For me, Erickson is really big, behaviorism is really big, and those are so disparate from each other that they just they probably couldn't be in the same room together. And so I've found that those two theories resonate with me, and that's what I'm asking you to talk about. There's been also some good discussion about what I just said about, hey, these theories, they contradict each other. What is this all about? That's the point. That's the point. The real meat of the matter is not that there were confusing things, but we're looking at something that's so complex that we have not come up with a grand unified theory of psychology any more than we've come up with a grand unified theory of physics. And so it shows the path forward. And I hope that that excites you as much as it intrigues you, even though sometimes it's disappointing and frustrating. In the assignment, what I'm asking you to do is theories sometimes work like colored glasses. And you've probably heard the phrase, somebody sees the world through rose-colored glasses. And the implication of that, the psychological implication, isn't that they put sunglasses on that are red and everything is red, but they put these glasses on and they perceive everything from an extremely optimistic point of view. They see things rosy. So what we can do when we're doing an analysis of anything that's going on with ourselves or others or anything is we have a number of glasses in front of us, these different theories. And as an exercise to demonstrate understanding of these perspectives, we can take each one of those glasses, put them on, and look at the world through that perspective. You don't have to adopt it. You don't have to believe it. But you do have to be able to use it. That's what I'm asking you to do. So we have a number of theories that I'm asking you to focus on. So the first is Erikson. So you would look at your current stage, maybe the stage before, the stage after, and look at his stage theory in terms of the task that's kind of there for you at that particular age that he presents. For those of you returning to school, you might see that you may be in a certain age group, but you might identify with a earlier stage because you're sort of restarting a piece of the development of your identity. Then we look into identity status. Now that theory kind of builds on Erikson's theory by James Marcia. That looks at 4 statuses that any piece of your identity can be in at any given time. Any aspect of your identity can only be in one of those statuses at a time. That's a key part of my own developmental theory of puzzle pieces. But what I'm asking is to look at an aspect of your identity through the lens of that theory, a piece of your identity that is achieved. Look that up. What does that mean for it to be achieved? And then describe the pathway as to how it became achieved using that theory. At one point, it's off the burner, it's diffused? Was there any time in your life that you felt foreclosed into that? Like I'm stuck with it because of circumstances beyond my control. Was there a period of time in which you were searching to decide which, the shape of that particular piece of your identity, and then the time at which you accomplished and made a decision that this is going to be my identity? And to trace that path. And some of you may have, say, career paths that kind of went back and forth, just like I got a job, thought that's what I wanted to do, and then I got fired, or the industry went away, and then I went back into moratorium again. I'm starting to look for a job. I mean, you can do these cyclical processes as your job identity undergoes changes over and over. The next one is cognitive development. We look at Piaget's work as it relates to adults, and I'm looking at his key features for Piaget was the process of assimilation, bringing in new information and formulating new schemas, the word he used for concepts or ideas that we internalize. And then accommodation, when we receive information that forces us to change those original schemas, maybe creating some new schemas, but also going back and changing some of the existing schemas. And this is really part and parcel of coming into education. At the beginning of your search in your education in psychology, you knew we had a brain, and then you took, biopsychology or something, or intro to psych, and then you now know the parts of the brain. So your initial concept was assimilated, and then new information came in and modified that concept, essentially making it more complex. The process of that. Then we look at multiple intelligence, and I'm going to give you a choice here. You can look at Sternberg's theory or Gardner's theory. I don't care. Personally, I like both of them. I lean a little bit towards Sternberg because it's utility, how we use intelligence, instead of I find Gardner's theory is really somewhat of a personality theory, where it looks at what I'm good at, that those things. I kind of see that intelligence theory as my personality intelligence, kind of thing. That's my own thing. But you talk about your strengths, your challenges, and whatnot in terms of either one of those theories. And finally, as a social scientist, I like to incorporate culture into as a major determining factor of our lives. And we look at the ecological theory, and specifically within that, the looking glass perspective. We have individuals that we perceive in our world who are important to us. They exist within this, figuratively, this committee, and we act in ways to keep them happy, good or bad. Certainly you want role models that you look up to and you want to emulate, but sometimes people end up on that committee and they're not necessarily good for you. They put you down when you were a kid, and somehow that little voice is still there. They're still on your committee, putting you down every time you try to do something. And so I want you, this is a descriptive, not a prescriptive. That could come later, but describing that the people who sit on that committee, who are those individuals and how do they impact your life? When we look at the clinical application of the looking glass theory, and I have never seen this applied elsewhere. I took that theory out of sociology, and I think it's an incredibly useful theory for us to think about people who are on our committee, who we need to fire from that committee. Difficult to do, easy to say, but nonetheless, we might have people on that committee that we need to fire. And maybe there are people out there who are critical of us, but we need that to kind of rein us in a little bit. And we might need to pick people who challenge us, challenge our assumptions, put them on that committee to help us steer straight. So that's that assignment. Again, I go back to the original instructions. I'm not asking you to buy into these. These are the ones that I have found incredibly useful, incredibly applicable in decision making, in understanding what I'm observing, and when understanding the world around me. And I want you to be able to experience that as you apply these to yourself. On your spare time, you can apply these to other people. Take these, talk to your best friends, your partners, your spouses, your kids. Talk to them about these theories. It's a really, really fun, beats a lot of the table, around the table conversations I've been involved in. They should make a game out of this. Should make a card game out of this. I'm going to do that. All right. So, okay, so that's this week. We're looking at Chapter 2, Conceptual Models, introducing us to the existing theories and whatnot. And there's more. This is just a pie. It's a slice of the pie, and exposing you to some of these. And we'll see these crop up every once in a while in the ongoing exploration of adult development. So have a great week. Looking forward to more of those conversations in the discussion boards, and take lots care of yourself. Get outside. Still beautiful. It's not winter yet. I shouldn't even say that. Right? Have a great day. Have a great week. And I'll see you online. Take care.